Well, welcome to everybody. I want to talk to you a bit about Jane. Her art focused on the conceptual meeting point between art and psychology. She works in 2D, 3D and 4D. Without more ado, I'll hand over to Jane.
I feel that the image and text inspire each other, that they're inextricably linked. By image, I mean the artwork itself, in whatever medium, and by the text, I infer the papers that often develop from the titles of the works and the statements. It's a sort of poetic statement about what it evokes for me. This work is called Poetic Encounter. This really inspired the title for my talk. Two appropriately distanced objects appear in dialogue. The title perfectly sums up for me the encounter between what is thought and what is felt, an ongoing relationship between rationale and the instinctive. In my exhibition, We Are They, I was inquiring after what brings us together and what separates us as people, as united in our humanity. In preparation for my exhibition, for many of the works, I got close enough to a person to draw around him or her, to treat him or her as the contemporary living sculpture, an object to be observed and captured on the page, a sort of intimacy only dreamt of during the past year. Masaccios' Renaissance painting of the Holy Trinity reminds me of Sigmund Freud's quote, "Where id was, there ego shall be," which is a suitable subtitle for this exhibition, We Are They. Masaccios' inscription reads, "What you are, I was once, alive, conscious," that's my brackets. "What I am now, you will be," my brackets, unconscious in the final sense of the concept. It serves to remind us of how close life and death are in these terrifying times. Life has become about avoiding contact, a sort of void or afterlife here on earth. I say the afterlife because life, particularly for the female aspect, has always celebrated intimacy and the quality of our human relationships. The light touches of reassurance, the hugs of love and consolation, the sharing of food, the talking at close quarters with all the trust and physicality that being in someone's space entails. These parts I'm reading out to go with each image are the small statements. In Denizen, my concerns include the tribal patterns that reoccur throughout history in our civilized uncivility. In contrast to the physical limit or outline, I also consider its equal and opposite, the unconscious and its limitlessness. So you've got the drawing around people and then everything inside and outside of that. Back and forth, over and over, the strokes of the brush repeat to metaphorically paint over our sense of reality. These works and the following works I called crime scene series. The reason I called them crime scene series was because they considered societal crime against the other. We might now say that the latest crime is coronavirus, in the death and destruction it has wreaked on us. However, this time it's a crime committed by no one against everyone. Field line references the crime of prejudice, where the other is treated as though he or she were not made of flesh and blood like us. Since the change, as it were, the pause, my work has changed. I'm now making works that don't involve other people and are safe to make in an effort, along with everyone else, to stay well. The most remarkable change from before the pandemic to now seems to be the way our communication is now almost exclusively virtual. Like, these are the boxes we are in. Everyone and no one. The Zoom effect has fascinated me and led me to examine how we are, how we look at each other and ourselves. So in these recent works on paper, I explore this phenomena. These boxed images, I was thinking about them. They'd come from somewhere else from a long time ago, and I realised they remind me of Magritte's Reckless Sleeper. I do feel that we are sleepwalking our way through this very strange new reality. You know, when you're with someone, it's about more than the image. There's a charge, the charge that we get from being with another person in physical reality. During our virtual communications, what happens to that charge we feel? I was thinking about that during these works. The energy behind these pixelated portraits we speak to is being converted into something else, perhaps present, but simultaneously repressed. The silent language of the repressed energy presents in other ways. We read more into each other's body language, but at the same time, we have to work much harder to pick up the signals which we usually receive instinctively. What happens when we can't talk instinctively and we're neurologically obliged to repress our energy? As Sigmund Freud said, unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. I was thinking what he meant by this, and I thought perhaps the time element in a Zoom call is condensed during the process, and these later unexpected emotions manifest simultaneously, leaving us feeling exhausted. These recent paintings explore the neurological tension that we have spoken about. They explore the body's language, the instinctual language, repressed energy as unconscious actions carried out which are not intended to be noticed. In fact, their research indicated that it's very much Zoom and any virtual meeting interaction is very much more demanding and therefore very much more tiring, to speak virtually than to speak in physical life. And this is because neurologically something different is happening. We're delivering and translating spoken information cerebrally rather than instinctively. It requires concentration because it feels unnatural. So in the final one I did, I was thinking about this new life, without the hugs, without socializing, and of the longing that can feel like an internal scream sometimes, because we have no control over it, we don't know when it's going to end. I finish with is this installation called Seed Symphony, and I'm hoping that my talk has sown some seeds towards an understanding of my process and the final vision for my works. Thank you.